Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I certainly appreciate Secretary Azar being here today and answering the questions the way that you're doing this. Obviously, the senator from Mississippi, and we have so many rural hospitals in Mississippi that are really struggling. A recent report found that half of all rural hospitals in Mississippi are at high financial risk of closing. I just read an article that Mississippi has more rural hospitals at risk of closing than any other state in this country. When a hospital closes, obviously, that the whole community is affected in so many ways. And, not only the employment there, but mainly, and what's most important, it means no more access to emergency care for the community's residents. In an emergency, timely care is of essence. And having closed by access to them can truly mean life or death. We just recently had a young lady in Mississippi just a few weeks ago that died of an asthma attack. So I guess my question is, what is HHS doing to respond to these rural hospital closures that is very critical in my state?
Well, thank you. You have repeatedly raised with me the concerns about rural hospital access in Mississippi, and in part because of your efforts, I have created a task force across HHS to help come up with all ideas that we can around how we can help address the hospital crisis. Let me give you some ideas. One of them we just were discussing, which is telehealth. How can we help make sure that we're expanding access into rural America? Because we'll end up consolidating everyone living in urban areas if we can't provide them health care in rural America. So telehealth is important. We have to make sure that providers are able to practice to the maximum of their licensure so that we're not having artificial restraints on trade and competition that are blocking access in rural America. And we also have to make sure that our regulations at CMS or otherwise are not creating artificial barriers to economically viable models of hospitals in rural America. Are we trying to force a 1960s model of hospitals through our payment systems and other regulations onto rural America? So we're looking at how do we even reconceive the needs of rural America from a hospital perspective. You said ER, for instance. I was talking with the leader of a critical access hospital yesterday. I learned about a requirement that we have, which is that to be a CAW, you have to have a surgeon on staff who might do 20 surgeries a year. One has to ask, does that requirement still hold in the modern era, and is that part of making that facility economically viable long term to be able to provide access in that community? So this is a deep passion of mine. We're working on this. Any ideas you have of things we can do to be helpful, certainly we want to be there.
Thank you very much.